Do you like to read incomplete books where the chapters are probably out of order? The author himself wanted to burn and he died before finishing. If so, then you should read The Trial by Franz Kafka. And did I want to burn this book before I finish it? Let's find out. Welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm your host, Captain Mike, and I'm reading and reviewing 52 books in 52 weeks in 2023. This is my 18th review of the year so far, The Trial by Franz Kafka. And before we talk about the book, let's talk about Mr. Kafka. Franz Kafka was a German-speaking Bohemian novelist and short story author. He was born in 1883 and he died of tuberculosis in 1924. And he was so influential that the term Kafkaesque has come to describe situations that are absurd, like those in this novel. Okay, the specs and stats of The Trial. It was written between 1914 and 1915, and it was published posthumously in 1925. This book is said to be heavily influenced by Dostoevsky, and I have read The Brothers Karamazov and Crime and Punishment this year as well. I did not listen to this book at all on Audible, and do want to point out that this copy of this book is a terrible printing, and it should serve as a warning to everyone who buys the cheapest books on Amazon. And I bought 50 books like at the same time in December last year, and so I was buying the cheapest books I could find, and it really looked like someone printed this book in their basement. Okay, on to the style of The Trial, and it is heavily influenced by how the book was written. Kafka, my understanding, he wrote the first chapter, he wrote the last chapter, and he worked on the middle sections in different notebooks. He never completed the novel, and his friends got the notebooks before he passed away so he wouldn't destroy them. And the notebooks weren't even in order or complete, and his friends did their best job they could in 1925 to collate and publish the book. Okay, just a couple words on the characters in The Trial. The main character, his name is Joseph K. Don't know his last name, and we just call him K throughout the novel. And K, he's a 30-year-old unmarried bank administrator. And when I think of him, imagine him in my mind, I actually imagine the pictures that I've seen of Kafka. Inside of the novel, we hear the story of the doorkeeper and the farmer. They are the characters in the chaplain's tale. We, of course, have a whole other host of characters in the book. The student, the woman at the court, the judge, the uncle, Lenny, Frau Birschner, and William and Franz, the officers that arrested Kay, and many others, and we're not going to go through all of them. Okay, on to the plot of The Trial. Joseph K, he is arrested at his house by unidentified officers from an unidentified or unspecified agency for crimes that they don't even tell him what they are. And he's set free, or he's allowed to stay free and told to await further instructions. Kay is ordered to appear at court on a Sunday, but isn't given a specific time. He finally finds the court, because he isn't given an exact address either, in the attic of some building, and he angers the court by being late, and then furthermore by telling them that they are absurd and the accusations are empty. Kay is visited by his uncle, who's heard about the accusations or the arrest of Kay and has come to help him. He introduces him to his attorney, Harold. He's a sickly attorney, and he's tended to by his nurse, Lenny. And when the uncle takes Kay to meet him the first time, they're all talking, and then his nurse, Lenny, takes Kay away and they go and have sex. So after a period of time, the uncle leaves and Kay leaves, and the uncle gives him a hard time for leaving him there with the attorney while he was going and having sex, and says that does not help his case at all. Kay finally decides that Harold's not doing him any good, and he goes to the office to fire him. At work, Kay is put in charge of one of their important clients and is told to meet the client at a cathedral in town one day. So while he's inside the cathedral waiting for the client, who never shows up, he's approached by a priest who calls him by name and tells him the fable Before the Law. The priest tells Joseph K that that fable is an ancient text of the court, and many court officials have interpreted it differently throughout the years, and it should be able to help Kay in his trial. On the eve of Kay's 31st birthday, two men come in and take him to a local quarry where they kill him with a butcher knife through the heart. He summarizes the entire situation and cries out like a dog. I honestly was intending to read the entire fable of Before the Law in this review, but it's just too long, and I would encourage you to, because probably to me is the best part of the entire book, is this story within the book. So I encourage you to go read it. You can actually watch YouTube's on just Before the Law, on that fable. And when you do so, ask yourself, is this indecipherable, or is it actually applicable to the story, to Kay's situation? Who or what does the gatekeeper represent? What does the law represent? What would have happened if the farmer had just tried to force his way past the gatekeeper? These are all questions you should ask yourself while you're reading or watching that story. Okay, those are just my brief summary of the plot of the trial. And like Kafka's other two novels, the trial was never completed. And it shows. It's full of surrealism and jumpiness. This book is like you had this beautiful painting and you cut it into a bunch of pieces. You took a quarter of those pieces and you just threw them in the garbage can, and you gave the remaining pieces to someone who'd never seen the work before and said, hey, can you put these in the correct order? I honestly had a difficult time reading this story. The disconnectedness, the lack of detail and backstory. Characters who you don't know who they are, they come and they go and they're gone, and they seem kind of important, but you never see them again. There's no understanding of who or why they were in the story. I don't understand, not necessarily the geography, but the surroundings that Kay is at as he's moving around. Like for example, he goes to the first day to go to the trial to go see the judge, and like in my mind I can't even picture what kind of situation he is. It is some big concrete, it's just incomplete to me and utterly stupefying. So maybe it doesn't really have to make sense. For some people that's the beauty of the book, the incoherent nature of it, but I think it just makes it difficult to appreciate the story. I feel like there is a beautiful story in there. It's just hidden under all these layers of, it's not even hidden really, it's just incomplete. Having said that, on page 148 of my copy it says, correct understanding of a matter and a misunderstanding of the same matter are not mutually exclusive. So I'm not even going to try and explain that any more than I'm going to try and explain the book. And honestly, despite the painfulness of this read, I do intend to read this book again, and perhaps even some more Kafka. So my question to you is, do you like Kafka, and do you have any recommendations for me? And that's it for my thoughts on the book, and on to the star rating. And I judge all books on 5 criteria, 6 if I listen to it on Audible, and I did not listen to the trial on Audible. And this is pretty bad. But okay, let's go. Initial response. How do I feel as soon as I finished the book? And I gave it a 3. Recommendation. How likely am I to recommend the book? I only gave it a 2. Style. Did I enjoy the writing style? It got a 2. Plot and structure. How engaged was I in the story? I was generous. I gave it a 3. And characters. Were they relatable, believable, engaging? I honestly gave it a 2. And that's 12. And 12 divided by 5 is 2.4. So 2.4 stars for The Trial by Franz Kafka. And it's been a couple months since I read this book. I would probably rate it a little higher right now, but that was my initial thoughts as I read this, and I'm going to stick by that. 2.4 stars for The Trial by Franz Kafka. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe to see more of my content. I'm doing 52 book reviews in 52 weeks this year in 2023. Links to those are in the description below. Feel free to check them out. It is called Whiskey and Literature. I do whiskey reviews as well, so if you're into that, feel free to check them out. But for now, you know what to do, my guys. I hope you're reading something good and drinking something great. Turn the pages and stay thirsty. Cheers.